Alright, so this is the video about immigration to the United States. So this is the first video. This is standards and open door. First off, when our country became a country, France gave us a really important gift, and that is the Statue of Liberty. At the base of the Statue of Liberty, a woman named Emma Lazarus composed a poem entitled "The New Colossus." This became synonymous with coming to the United States. In it, she says, just really quick little quote, "Bring me your tired, poor, huddled masses yearning to breathe free, and I give them freedom beside my golden door." So people saw America as a land of opportunity, away from oppression, away from all the things that had been going negative, death and poverty. Now, we're going to contrast that when we get to urbanization with what the reality was, and it wasn't much different. But that was Emma Lazarus, and that kind of inspired people to come, and they wanted to come see the Golden Lady, as she would call. Now, bringing people into this, anytime we talk about immigration or migration, we have to talk about a push factor and a pull factor. Now, a push factor, like you push someone out the door, is something that forces them to leave, and you can see there are some push factors of population growth, agricultural changes, crop failures, the Industrial Revolution, and also religious and political turmoil will get them to go away. Now, the pull factor brings them in, and you can see there are some big pull factors of immigration are freedom, economic opportunity, and then also the abundant land which they got from the Indians. So just know the difference between a push factor and a pull factor. They love using that and confusing you. There you go. Now another verses here. We had old immigrants and new immigrants, and I really like this political cartoon here because you see the guy getting off the boat and he's ready for his new life, and you see these well-dressed men telling him, "No, we don't want you." But their shadows show something interesting in the fact that they were at one time in his same place. So how do we know the difference between an old immigrant and a new immigrant? An old immigrant basically assimilated well into society. They spoke English. They were white. They had the same religion, which is Protestantism, not Catholicism. For a little while, Catholicism is actually looked down upon in the United States, especially since that was the major thing in England and other places like that. Now, the new immigrants were the exact opposite. They didn't speak English, they had different religions, they had different customs, and they didn't assimilate well. Later on, we're going to go to call these things a WASP, but we'll cover that when we get there. So old immigrants, they blended in. Now, Heidi, can you tell the difference? There's a style font called Old English. A lot of people will get tattoos, and it's a weird font. So I remember Old English. It looks a little different, but it's still English nonetheless. So these people, their English might have been different. They might have been, speaking from the UK version or something like that. But nonetheless, it is still English. New immigrants, not. Now, the first place they're going to take them after the Statue of Liberty is Ellis Island. Ellis Island was where the boat docked, and it was their first experience. So let's cover that experience. The experience at Ellis Island after getting off the boat is you went into the Great Hall, and maybe you can see it a little bit there, and you were in these huge lines, and you waited your turn, and you met a customs or an immigration officer and gave them the papers, and sometimes they did manipulate and charge fees. Most of the time not so much. They did put you through a health screening where they checked you for lice and different things like that, make sure you were not going to infect the population. So that was the Ellis Island experience. It's kind of like cattle, maybe per se, but nonetheless it is a little interesting. Now, the other place, there was a second immigration center on the west coast, and it was called Angel Island. This is where many Japanese and Chinese came through the door. Now, I would keep them just kind of going with it. Ellis has an E. Europeans have an E, so the Europeans came to Ellis Island. Whereas Asians has an A, Angel has an A. The Asians came to Angel Island, and it's close to San Francisco, and it makes sense if you've ever been out to that area. There's a lot of Asian immigrants in California, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, etc. Now, once you come to this country, immigration is not only it's only part of it. The actual service is called the INS, Immigration and Naturalization Services. So you come here, then you must be naturalized to be a citizen. Now naturalization, the big thing everybody knows is the ceremony afterwards where you pledge allegiance and etc. But there's also a big test. Yes, beyond high school, there are many other tests. But once you've done this, you become a citizen of this country. You're able to vote, things like that. Now, however, you cannot run for president if you are not born here, but you can run for other political offices, such as governor. Just ask Arnold, because that's where he came. He originally came from Austria. But that's the first video here. Now, a song that I was kind of thinking along the lines here is an Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. And I know it has nothing to do with immigration whatsoever, except when it says immigrant. But maybe there's some different projects there. But I'll get the second video up here in a second.